Good afternoon, good people of Village of Midlothian. This is our second interview today. We have a candidate for trustee, Jack Hillie. He is looking for your vote, April 6th, 2021. So he agreed to do an interview today. It is very cold, so we will try to keep this short and sweet. This will be the first round of interviews with all the candidates. We're looking to get all the interviews done, but today Jack agreed to do this. So we're going to jump right in, and if you have anything you'd like to say before we start with questions.
No, sure.
Okay. The first one is obviously, if people were to say they've never heard of you before, who is Jack Hillie? Who are you?
I started my career in law enforcement in 1995. I'm still currently employed. I'm a sergeant. I've been a sergeant for the last 14 years. I'm not allowed to say where I work because if I use my office for political gain, it's a violation of policy. Anybody can Google my name. It's been put out there where I work. It's not a big deal to me.
Okay.
I'm nearing retirement. I live in Midlothian. Actually, I was born in Midlothian.
Born and raised?
No, born to Midlothian.
Okay.
My parents moved to nearby Oak Forest, where I graduated from Oak Forest High School. Don't hold that against me, everyone. All right. I've lived in various south suburbs. Once me and my wife got married and kids, we decided to go back to Midlothian.
Gotcha. So obviously that answered the next question. What do you do for a living? So you are a sergeant in law enforcement. And your family? Do you have any extended family in Midlothian?
Sure.
Any other relatives?
Oh, sure. My in-laws still reside in Midlothian. My grandparents and my father both lived in Midlothian for a short period of time in the 50s and 60s. And my father went off to the Army. He's since passed, but aside from that, plenty of friends and family. I mean, just my wife's family has huge population.
Gotcha. What do you feel is the best part of Midlothian? What do you like the best about Midlothian? What keeps you here?
The people. The businesses that are here and the businesses we can bring in keep us here. When we moved back to Midlothian, I wasn't really involved and wasn't paying attention to what was going on. And a couple things caught my attention, previous administrations. And I think what's happened is that there's been a total turn in relation to village hall business and just in general with social media and the information getting out there. 20 years ago, you'd find out about something that happened, a week later in the paper.
Right.
Now, with the implementing of even the village Facebook page, the police, all this information comes out so quickly, and I think everybody who lives in Midlothian wants everybody else to know what's going on, good or bad.
Right.
And rightfully so. And I think having the administration that we have now, meaning the current incumbents, have addressed that and said this information needs to be put out when we get it as soon as practical. Some things can't be put out immediately, but if there's an incident that the residents need to know about, I think it's put out right away, and I think that's what's good. And not only that, on my way to and from work, there's an accident somewhere, I tell everyone, hey, don't go this way, watch yourself. Put that on the neighborhood watch page and get that information out. And I think everybody in Midlothian who is active on these neighborhood watch pages and things like that wants everybody else to know what's going on. Like I said, good or bad, and rightfully so. Information getting out there is key. And I think everybody looks out for each other.
How do you feel about the residents who say that we don't want bad information out there because it's a slip pad? Like such as police blotters or reports of break-ins or anything like that, where people are saying, no, don't put that out there because then it turns people off from wanting to move here or may push people to move out. What do you say to that?
I think that's a double-edged sword. Okay, the police can't be everywhere. Who are the eyes of the police department? It's not the 4, 5, 6 guys working every day. It's the residents. And I tell people this all the time. If you see something, you go, oh, that looks weird. Maybe I should call the police. That's your first thing, call the police. That's what they're there for. They're there to serve us. Police, fire, everybody, those boards to serve the residents, And sometimes you look at something somebody says and and somebody asks, oh, did you call the police? I know. Come on, call the police. That's what they're there for.
I think we've all seen those conversations
Yeah.
on social media where did you call the village? Did you call the police?
Yeah,
No, all
exactly.
that.
Exactly. But you know, a lot of times knowing that man loved the train. A lot of times knowing directing someone on who to call or what to do. It's half the world. You know, there's so many different agencies that cover different parts of the world. You know, I remember I was going back probably a year or two. Somebody made mention of a big pothole in Pulaski. The village down the way, Pulaski's county. You know, I said, hey, here's the number to the, you know, whatever district it was that handles that. Call them up, and the county is really good about that. They'll come right up when potholes fixed.
Yeah, and see, that's the type of awareness that a lot of residents don't understand is certain things are not the responsibility of the village.
Right,
you know?
but if anybody, whether it's a trustee or the village or whoever, can either, you know, get somebody the right information or at least, you know, put them in the right direction.
And take the time,
Absolutely.
even though it's not their responsibility.
Really, I mean, you know, the thing with pothole took me 2 minutes to figure out what the number was. There's a number, call them up, they'll be right on.
Absolutely. So then on the opposite end of that, what do you think, the way the question came in was worded as, what do you think turns people off about Midlothian, or what is the worst part of Midlothian? This was like a double question. What's the best part of it? What is the worst part of it? You know, you can tie it into kind of like what you think needs improving, or answer it however you want. But the way the question came in was, what is the best part of Midlothian? What is the worst part of Midlothian? And what turns people off about Midlothian?
I can't see anything that would turn anybody off. Is there room for improvements? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the new downtown TIF that's in the process of getting worked up here from Cicero and 147 all the way down to Kedzie and north and south of Kedzie is going to be, I mean, a game changer.
Absolutely.
I believe that 100%. The Cicero Avenue TIF where Ricky Rockets came in, the old Arrow property there, that TIF made all that possible.
Right.
You know, so I think the, what you call it, the downtown section. You know, when we're looking right here on 147th Street, you know, there's a lot of buildings that need updating. You know, and I think this TIF that's been brought forward by the current administration is gonna change. It's gonna change the look of the Midlothian down on 147th Street.
Absolutely.
It may take time because, you know, let's be real. Local government, any government, nothing goes quickly. You know, and things take time. That's all. People need to be patient, and I don't know if it's not a lack of understanding, but we got, you know, the village board, and every trustee has their own department, you know, and that's what they're in charge of, but they also need help from the other departments, you know what I mean? Just because, say, I'm not in charge of public works doesn't mean I don't care about public works. I'll be there to get the public works liaison all the help they need, you know what I mean?
Right, or maybe with your law enforcement background, you know, with the police liaison as well.
Oh, I think she's doing a fabulous job.
I think a lot of people think she's doing a great job. She's not up for election this year, but you know. Anywho, so somebody asked, what do you yourself bring to the table as trustee? Like, what sets you aside from others? What are you bringing to the table as trustee?
Besides 26 years of experience in municipal government, okay, as an employee, but you know, like that. If I say to my boss, I need this, he'll say, okay, we need to contact so-and-so or things like that. And figuring out what agency needs to be contacted for what issue. Also, I sit on the District 142 school board, okay? Our parts of Midlothian and Crestwood are 142, most of Midlothian is 143. Back in 2017, the board was a little off base. It was not headed in the right direction. I saw that, and I decided I'm going to do something. I'm going to run for that seat and see if I can help. You know, and it only takes one or two board members to be off on a tangent for the board to lose focus of what they're there for. And I saw that, and I said, I want to be part of this. I want to bring it back to what it was.
And when was that?
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
You're still sitting on that?
Yes.
Gotcha. And how many board members are there on that?
7.
7 board members. You're one of 7.
Yes.
Absolutely great. Are there any ordinances that are currently on the books that you'd like to see either amended, removed, or tweaked?
Tweaked. Removed. No.
That's how the question. I'm just quoting residents who submitted questions, so that's the way they word it. Any ordinances on the books that you'd like to see amended, removed, or tweaked?
I think the crime-free housing ordinance. Now I know there's been some litigation in reference to crime-free housing, not here, but nationally, in reference to the crime-free housing ordinance. It's a great tool. It is an absolute great tool. All the parameters that the landlords have to adhere to are all based on quality of life issues and crime reduction. And it's amazing, but it takes a lot of resources to do the crime-free housing ordinance 100%. I mean, you have to have somebody that's all in, basically a dedicated officer to do that. And I think it's a great ordinance, and it may need to be tweaked pending, like I said, litigation, because there were some lawsuits filed on a national level on whether or not it's fair or it's biased or whatever.
Or unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional, yeah, exactly.
Well, there was one I'm going to do a follow-up myself. It was brought up about 6 or 9 months ago, brought to our attention that the officer that heads up the crime-free housing is actually a landlord here. So that there was a question of whether or not that's a conflict of interest. How do you feel about that as far as if you're a landlord, but you're also in charge of the crime-free housing ordinance?
The appearance of impropriety is just too much there. It's not about whether or not you can do the job and do it 100%, but the appearance.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I would say that shouldn't be allowed. I'm not in a position to make that decision.
According to most residents, on social media, we are at the mercy of that given COVID, and there's not very many social events or ways to interact with people in person. The consensus is that it definitely doesn't seem right that, there's a chance he could be more lenient towards himself, or
Sure.
all the things that come with the conflict of interest. But again, that'll just have to be something that's either brought up or not, in the future. And residents are concerned whether or not he is biased towards himself. But again, without proof, it's just assumptions and hearsay. So you basically answered what sets you above others. This is a question somebody brought up weeks ago, and I'm going to ask all the trustees. So if you're watching this and you're a candidate for trustee, you can prepare this answer. But I've already asked, how do you feel about allowing residents to own chickens and goats? Because there's a small group of people, but they are very diehard in trying to push the fact that we should be able to own chickens and goats. Me personally, goats is a little far, but with the proper care and maintenance of a cage or whatever you're going to keep your chickens in, how do you feel about that?
I would think as long as it didn't disrupt the neighborhood, and take away from the peace, tranquility of the neighborhood. I mean, I could see chickens and goats.
No roosters.
Being loud. Well, chickens still make a lot of noise. And not to mention, just off the top of my head, the health code ramifications from that. There's an awful lot of waste, and I mean, if everybody had an acre here, I'm sure it wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
I think the urban setting here with the lot sizes is a big issue.
Absolutely, and we know that there's parts of unincorporated Midlothian where sources say that somebody owns a pig. They've seen the person walking the pig, and there definitely are chickens. I don't know about goats, but again, that's unincorporated, so they fall under county and not under the jurisdiction of Midlothian. So that pretty much sums up all the questions that were submitted. And one question we are asking, your slate, and when we do interviews with Karen, do you have any comments or statements regarding the objections that were brought upon your entire slate?
Being that that's still pending, tomorrow I'll let you know more. But I have no comment in reference to that. I think after tomorrow
we'll see what happens tomorrow. Gotcha. Okay. Again, that's pretty much it. Voters block, the moderators and voters block didn't have any more, and those were the only questions submitted by residents. We'll leave you with, if you want to do a closing statement, final thoughts. We can ask, how can residents get a hold of you or reach out to you for their questions or concerns with you being a candidate, and then wanting to reach out to you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
My name is searchable. You can send me a message at any time on Facebook. As soon as tomorrow is over with and things really get rolling, we'll have campaign literature out there with contact information for everybody. So,
Okay.
You know, we gotta get over that over tomorrow, and then we'll be good.
Absolutely.
You know, in reference to the whole pandemic, it really shut down a lot of things. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are, you know, it's unprecedented times. You know, and I think hopefully we're coming out of it, and everything will get back to normal.
We can only hope.
Yeah, and all the parades and all the celebrations that we do here, you know, right here at the Village Green. You know, the Christmas parade ends here. The 4th of July parade ends here, and we're looking forward to doing all that again. I just real quick, not to self-boast.
Go ahead. This is your time. This is you telling the voters of Midlothian who you are and what you want to do. So.
Since 2017, I built a parade float, and it represented the village of Midlothian in 10 parades. Most all of the Christmas and Veterans Independence Day parades here in Midlothian, also the Oak Forest St. Patrick's Day parade. You might have seen me, you might have heard me. It's got quite the sound system. We've also done, when I say we, I mean me and my family, we've also done over 25 birthday celebration drive-bys, graduation drive-bys. I mean,
with your float?
Yes, yeah. We took our personal time. We don't charge anybody anything. I mean, I love doing it. I love to see the smiles on everybody's faces. I mean, everywhere from a 90-year-old grandmother to a 5-year-old kid for their birthday and their graduations too in town. So it's been fun doing that in these trying times.
Absolutely. This is uncharted territory for everyone.
For sure.
So there you have it, Jack Hillie, candidate for trustee here in Midlothian. That election's coming up, April 6, 2021. Reach out to him, ask him your own questions. We will do follow-up interviews once the campaigns are moving along. And obviously, it's very fluid. Things change week to week, month to month. And you know, as things develop on everybody's campaign, we will be requesting interviews with everybody again. But these are preliminary, get to know you, who you are, why you're running, where'd you come from, and how can we get a hold of you type interviews. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for sharing. And again, you can reach out to him on Facebook. You got an email address or anything, or Facebook's the best way?
Facebook's the best way. Yeah,
there you go. Facebook Messenger, Jack Hillie, and reach out to him. Again, these candidates, as I keep saying, all these candidates are applying for positions. We are going to be their boss. They're going to work for us. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, bring them to these candidates. You know, reach out to them, see what they have to say, and you know, there's 6 candidates up, or there should be. I mean, tomorrow's the determining factor, but if all goes as planned, there will be 6 candidates for 3 seats. So. Half of them won't make it, and that'll be determined by your vote. So, again, Jack Hillie, let that sizzle in your spirit. I'm Jason Ross Decker, Midlothian, Illinois Voters Bloc.
What are you going to do?